Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we're relaxing. It's Friday. I don't know what on earth I'm doing, but there you go. It's Friday. We are relaxing, and yeah, I don't know what I'll talk about. I might talk about Frog Song today. I actually completely forgot about it. I should. I've been bad about talking about games which I have played, to be honest. But good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 7:40 PM on Friday, April 17, 2026. Yeah, so, you also might have noticed that 9 souls went up today. That's because I didn't finish the thumbnail art yesterday because I was too tired. Am I going to finish it today? Maybe. I think unlikely. I think it's likely I'll finish it tomorrow morning. And if I don't, then I guess you'll see the stream bod be uploaded on Saturday or something instead. No. Hopefully not. I mean, I guess I could push forward 9 souls again. I don't know. I've got like quite a few thumbnail arts to be doing. But there is a drawing club, which I will be partaking in just after this. Well, actually, I don't know if it starts just after this. No, normally I'm a lot later, to be honest. But this time the only thing I got to do is record this Animal Crossing episode. So, yes. I'm not going to talk about Frog Song today, mainly because I wasn't really prepared for it. I haven't really got my thoughts in order about it. I will say it's a totally nice game. No, let's talk about something random. And by something random, I mean let's flounder about for about 15 minutes before I don't actually talk about anything. And then we'll see what happens. How's Gatch going? Miss me? I've made my 3 aces, but not my final aces. They're just like good enough for now. Good enough to get me to A finals. Tried them in some playtest races. Only my Sane Sky is good enough to win. The other 2 have not won. And yes, one of them is Christmas Ogre. Which, if you play Miss Me, you might be like, how? Well, to be fair, the people doing those custom races have very strong Umas. Gone are the days when I played enough that I could enter those lobbies and have like a 50% win rate. Now I have like a 10% win rate and I'm like, that's it, I'm winning A finals. Probably. Anyway, what else happened otherwise? Otherwise, I don't really know. I did put false, what? I did pause, what? I did throw some pulls out with Sisia banner just to see, and I got an early 5-star. Wasn't Sisia, it was a Lycon, so that means I got a guarantee. Yeah, I don't know. Not much to say, gacha-wise. I don't know what to really talk about, to be honest. I'm trying to think. Oh, you know, Tomodachi Life has been released now, hasn't it? I actually completely forgot it was released. I only kind of like found out because I saw there was like a Library of Laterno video about, oh, that's not the right one, about Tomodachi Life, and I was like, whoa, I completely forgot it's been released. Am I gonna buy it? I still don't know. I'm unsure, because as I said, I think the most fun thing that I would love to do is to basically get a game and then make all my friends in it, and then basically just sort of watch what they do, because that's what you do in Tomodachi Life, right? You just kind of watch what happens. It's like, as someone described it, it's like it's a video game ant farm or something. I know the limit's 70. I don't know if I have 70 people who I'd put in the game. Well, maybe, do I? I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, I should also see, is it Music League? Music League, okay, yeah. The round submission deadline's in about 5 hours, so it'll be tonight. Tonight, we are young. This one's interesting. It's about dreamy sort of music. So it's somewhat similar to Lullaby, but I feel like there's a bit of a distinction there. Lullaby, I feel like, needs to be calm and relaxing. Dreamy can be a bit more upbeat, IMO. Just something which feels a bit strange and wacky, you know? I mean, not wacky, necessarily, but not as tied to reality. Yeah. I just want to think about what I'm gonna talk about. Something actually live. I don't know. I will say ant farm is also very interesting. There was a YouTuber, or is a YouTuber, I assume they still exist, who has like an ant farm or an ant colony sort of thing, and they just like make videos about like this is what happens with their ant farm ecosystem and whatnot, and it's fascinating. I don't own any pets, or anything. Am I ever gonna own any pets? Maybe. I don't know. It's sort of thing where it's like, I don't want to own a pet if because like, you know, if I have a pet, I'm like, I want to be able to commit full attention to it. Like, there was no point owning a pet if you're just going to be like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna like look after it properly or something like that. I don't know. But watching that video, this homemade ecosystems. I was trying to find the YouTuber, who has all these like videos about. Wait, is this? Wait, is it this person? I think it's this person. But watching them basically make their sort of like diary videos of what's going on with that ant farm is absolutely fascinating. Because I feel like, you know, people hate on having, well, not people. Some people dislike having insects as pets, you know, and to be honest, I do understand, because you know, some people are scared of spiders, and it's the sort of thing where it's like, I am not scared of spiders, but I can see why, you know, like I can see it from like a scientific standpoint, you know, same way you like what from a scientific standpoint, why are things cute? Because I don't know, having things like big eyes, big head, or disproportionate things, I don't know, maybe fundamentally likens it to something like young of an animal or something, and that associates with cuteness in our mind, or some sort of like nurturing protective instinct. I don't know, okay? You might be like, oh, I don't find babies cute. Well, okay, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about from an analytical standpoint. I'm sorry that we're not talking about we're talking about ingrained evolution, which is far beyond any of our scopes probably. But anyway, the point being, I can understand from a fundamental perspective why people would find insects, you know, creepy or something. Like, I suppose it's, the thing I always hear is obviously the sort of shape of them is, you know, quite different obviously from humans, and quite different from most regular pets and animals, which we are used to or growing up with people have more exposure to, and people probably don't have as much exposure to things like insects, except for when they find one randomly in their room and they're like, huh, and then it just skitters about. The thing I always hear most is about the way they move. It's always very strange. But anyway, I'm not an insect pet hater, and I think the biggest thing I always hear about people, you know, things like pet tarantulas or something, is more so that obviously tarantulas are not very cuddly creatures. In fact, tarantulas are very, very, as I understand it, very delicate and fragile pets and creatures. The sort of thing where like you need to be careful when you pick them up, because they fall from too large a height. They're basically like glass or something. It will be severely bad with them. And you might be like, I feel like I see people put tarantulas on their hands and let them walk about, and I'm pretty sure that's fine. It's just more like you have to be careful, you know. You can't go on a walk with your tarantula like you can with a dog, or cuddle necessarily, or maybe you can, I don't know, probably affection feels different in certain ways. Anyway, I'm not a pet owner, so it's not really my place to say, but one thing I will always say, you know, or always think about, you know, all these insect like ant colonies, or terrarium style things, or like big aquarium fish pets, is that they are absolutely fascinating to watch. And I feel like that's the kind of thing I sort of vibe with. Like, I'm not sure if I have enough energy to keep up with like especially a very energetic dog, or a cat which demands attention and that sort of thing. But you know, fish demand your care, definitely. I don't know if they necessarily demand your attention in the same way, right? It's not like you had to pet a fish. I don't know, do you have to keep fish entertained? But well, probably you had to keep them enrichment through more so the environment they're in. You know, I wouldn't keep them in like a sterile, just blank fish tank. I'm sterile, not in the hygiene sense, sterile in the decorative sense. And obviously you keep looking after them, you know, change out the water as or whatever filter necessary. I don't know. Again, I haven't owned a fish for, well, even I haven't really owned a fish. It's more like a family pet. But they are absolutely fascinating to watch, you know. It's nice, you sort of watching just like sort of fish swim around, just go about their day, you know, do what they do. And I think ant colonies also fall in that same sort of vein, which I find this person's like videos about them fascinating, because I find it even more fascinating. Ant colonies, or ants, are also really just amazing insects. I think they might be my favourite insect. I'm not actually sure, to be honest. But probably up there, mainly because of their cooperative element, just like how organised everything is. It's not helping my robotic traits, but how well they sort of just like organise and band together to build up this like colony where everyone has their own little like part to play in this sort of thing. I'm like, that's awesome. That's fascinating to watch, and I can see myself. So okay, caveat here. In a perfect world where it would just be like, oh, just having an ant colony, I'd be like, yeah, I could see myself absolutely just watching the ant colony for ages, just being absolutely fascinated, watching how they sort of like dig out their tunnels, how their nest slowly expands or something. Like that sounds awesome. But on the other hand, like, there's a lot of upkeep which is required still for things, you know, like ants. You know, like things that you might not think about as much. You know, with dogs, I think or like cats, it's much more like obvious, like you have to take care of their like their excrement, their waste or something, and one way or another. But you know, ants do as well. Every living creature does, which is not like, I mean, it's something I thought about, I suppose, but it's more like I don't really know how that manifests when you have like pet ants or something. And I found it very interesting watching that person's video, because they set up like a separate tank essentially to be like, oh, this is where the ants should put all their like waste and detritus, because then it'll be a bit easier, because then I won't have to clean like the home nest or something as much. But it's also like, well, what happens when you need to clean the home nest? Or you had to, it seems like, honestly, it's a really painstaking process where you had to get all the ants out of there, essentially, lure them away, and then you just like disconnect it, seal it off, and then you had to like manually scrub it out and stuff. That, I would say, is, you know, it's always like that sort of thing, which I'm like, because you know, if you have animals, you got to do that for them. There's no question about it. If you respect the animals and the pets that you're having and you're looking after, you got to do these things to, you know, actually properly care for them. And I think it's under that sort of venture where I'm just like, that seems like a lot of effort, which I'm like, if I'm going to be honest with myself, I'm not sure if I want to do that necessarily. Then it's sort of like, that feels like a big hold up for pets. Also, I'd be so worried that like if anything happened like to the ant nest, like I don't know what you do with an ant nest. Like if your ants are all sick or something, you can't take them to a vet. Well, can you take them to a vet? I don't know. You have to take them to like an entomologist or something. At least with, you know, I feel like dogs and cats, like more common breeds of animals, there's a lot more common shared like knowledge about them. Again, I'm not like an expert in animals. I find them fascinating, but all my knowledge is not from a pet owning standpoint. But like, what happens if, you know, there's like a viral infection? Can ants even get viral infections? I don't know. But what happens if there's something like some sort of disease going around your ant nest? I'll be like, what do I do? I've got no idea. Can I do I take my ant nest to a vet? Probably not. I mean, there's probably like ant keeping forums or something which have details about it, but I'm just like, that seems like, I don't know. That just seems like it would be a sucky situation. And also, it does not... it probably seems like... I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. I wonder if looking after an ant... Okay, hold on. This is what I'm going around in circles. These sort of like trophy pets, as I hear them called, things like tarantulas, and the ones which sort of just like sit there, aren't like active pets you have to engage with necessarily. I mean, I feel like at first blush it kind of feels like they wouldn't need as much care as more active pets like dogs, because you have to take them on a walk or something, or cats, which you have to keep entertained, etc, etc. And I'm sure to a certain extent that's true, but I think that the obvious caveat there is the fact that it's not like we don't require no work, but you still require doing things to look after, you know, keeping these things clean. You know, they're living creatures, they deserve your respect, right? And I think it's a sort of like it's a very fascinating thing to think about. Because I can definitely see futures in where I get like, pets or something, but it's sort of like, what pet would even best suit me? And I genuinely don't know what the answer is to that. Because I feel like me in different moments would want different things, right? Like, some days, you know, you have the energy when it's like you want to look after, you know, I mean, now I think about it, I'm now replacing, you know, imagine having pets or like with children or something in my mind. I'm like, I guess it's kind of the same caveat, right? I was going to be like, sometimes you might not have the energy for it, you might not be in the mood or something, but then you just got to do it anyway because you're the one looking after them, right? I guess this is kind of how it is. I don't know. Anyway, ant nest, very interesting thing. And I always find it very fascinating, these much more unusual pets, I suppose. Things with pets which people don't necessarily have. Because I remember someone, I think it was like some random internet story about some person who got themselves out of like depression because they got like sea snails or something. Just like some really random pet which I've never heard. Or maybe it was like crabs or something. And they just like fully committed to looking after them. And it like really turned their life around. I was like, that's such a cute story. That's so awesome. Like, I mean, I have friends who have snakes, and snakes are already like, I think the only people I've ever met who've had pet snakes, and a gecko, I suppose, as well. Actually, that's not true. I do know someone, or did know someone else. But whatever, like these more unusual pets, which even on the scale of things might not seem that unusual. It's not like if someone said, oh, I have a pet snake, you'd be like, whoa, snake or something. But like actually knowing someone with that pet, I think is just absolutely fascinating as well, from my perspective as well, because I'm just like, oh, how is it different looking after this pet? You know, what things you know not even think about. I think that's kind of the sort of thing I got from watching that person talk about that ant colony. So it's sort of like, it's a fascination with it, but not a fascination to do it, if that makes sense. Anyway, ant colony, very interesting thing. Kind of crazy how they just like used to sell them as like toys or something in like Argos catalogs or something. I feel like I remember just looking through Argos catalogs. You can literally, which is basically just like a big old retailer, known for back in the day having these giant like magazine things where you could basically search through and look and see what products they have for sale, and then you can go to their store and there'll be like a machine, you punch in the numbers and then they'll tell you if it's in stock or not. You can literally just buy ant nests in there, which is kind of wild to say. Did they come with ants? I don't know. I never bought them. It's like on the scale of sea monkeys, which are just like those pets which for whatever reason you just sell as toys. I don't see if I can find an ant farm toy. I wonder how it really works, to be honest. Because the thing I mean, oh, this is the exact one I thought of. It was this light up ant terrarium where I remember when I was younger being like, whoa, this looks so cool. And being like, I wonder if I want this, but I don't actually know if I would or not. And now I think about it, like the thing I think about when I see these is like, these toys are obviously not probably the best environments for these pets, right? It seems almost cruel, but I don't actually know if it's cruel, because maybe ant farms are one of the rare toys where it's like, oh yeah, it actually translates really well to like a toy thing. Like it feels very easy to get like a very small like ant colony or something in these toy boxes. But I feel like I have to be skeptical when I look at these sort of things and be like, I can't in good faith believe that would be true necessarily. Because if they were, then presumably those who are like more into the hobby, like antlings, would be like, oh yeah, you know, this is like a great entry ant tank or something. Ant keeping, what a cheap hobby to get into. I mean, it probably is a cheap hobby to get into. I don't know. But anyway, the long and short of it is, I remember seeing this light up terrarium, and then like initially seeing it being like, whoa, it's so cool. I almost want to get ants now because of this, and keep them in there. And then later on thinking like, wait a minute, is this just like an ant's nest which is always like lit up, right? And I was like, this probably is terrible for the ants, right? Like, I don't know how ants necessarily judge light. In my mind, for some reason, I feel like ants have are one of the insects which have like a fifth eye on their head or something, which doesn't like visually see, but is like a light detection thing. I don't know if that's true or not. And I imagine how much that would mess them up, right? If they constantly think it's daytime? I don't know. I will admit, visually, it looks like very futuristically cool. Does it make any sense? No, I don't think so. Anyway, my recommendation is if you want to get ants, you probably go to someone who's an expert in ant keeping and see exactly what their recommendation is. I, on the other hand, will just continue to watch videos about people, or well, watch this one person's videos whenever it's very rarely recommended to me, about someone keeping an ant colony and being like, fascinating. as the case may be. Anyway, I think I'm going to round this episode off here. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Bye-bye for now.